Hi, welcome to today's lesson. Our learning target today is I can use all four quadrants of the coordinate grid to find and name points. Yesterday, we focused on quadrant 1 of the coordinate grid. Today, we'll focus on quadrants 2, 3, and 4 to see how they're different, but mostly to see how they're the same. Let's review. We build our coordinate grid using two number lines. The first number line we'll call the x-axis, and it stays horizontal. The second number line, we rotate 90 degrees so that it's vertical or perpendicular to the first number line. We line up our origins, that's the 0 on both number lines, and we have our coordinate grid. We learned a lot of new words, names for the parts of the coordinate grid yesterday. Let's review those as well. Well, we know that the horizontal number line is called the x-axis, right? We know the vertical number line is called the y-axis. We know that the point at which both number lines begin, which is 0, is called the origin. And we know that this coordinate grid is broken into 4 areas or regions. Starting in the top right corner, we have quadrant 1. That was our focus yesterday. Today, we'll focus on quadrants 2, 3, and quadrant 4. So let's take a look at some practice work. This is the kind of practice work you're going to have today. Okay, so the lesson from here on out is also a great example for today's practice work. Here we have a coordinate grid broken into 4 regions. I'd like to point out that you can see just shaded in the background here the Roman numeral numbers for each quadrant. Here we have quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. And like yesterday, we see symbols like circles and crosses and lightning bolts and letters like A, E, J on this grid. Let's go ahead and just practice finding and then naming some of these points, shall we? All right, we know how to find and name a point like this square here in quadrant 1. Go ahead and name that as review of yesterday's work. Okay, did you start at 0? Here's Mr. Duranis, and go along the x-axis first to 2, and then up along the y-axis to 5, and come up with an ordered pair of 2, parenthesis, 2, comma, 5, parenthesis, for that square? I hope so, because that is the correct ordered pair that names the location of the square. Great work. And I want to point out, do you notice how I put those coordinates right there next to the symbol? That's really important to do that when you're naming things. All right, so let's look at quadrant 2 now, shall we? Let's just take the circle here as an example. Let's find and name the ordered pair for that location. Now, guess what? Nothing actually changes here. In order to find the ordered pair that names that location, you still have to walk along the x-axis first. The only difference is instead of walking to the right along the positive numbers, we're just going to walk to the left, the negative numbers. And we'll see that we're going to go to -3. Now, I know the numbers are small, but if you zoom up on your own work today, you'll see them very clearly, okay? So let's do that. We walked over here to the -3 first along the x-axis. So that'll be our first ordered pair. We know it's going to be parenthesis -3, comma something. And then we walk up the y-axis, climb up our ladder, and we can see that if we come along here, +7 is the y-coordinate. So we have -3, +7, parentheses. That's the ordered pair that names that point. Do you see how nothing changed? All we did was walk in a different direction along the x-axis first, and then we walked up the y-axis. And so our ordered pair remains the same, x-coordinate first, y-coordinate second. All right, let's try this again. This time, let's find the location of the star here in quadrant 3. You want to do that? All right, I'm going to give you a chance to try this actually. Go ahead and give it your best shot. What do you think the coordinates are for the ordered pair of the star? Okay, let's see. If we start at 0, we're going to walk along the x axis first, over here to the number that matches up best, and that is -7. And then we're going to use our ladder. Instead of climbing up something, we're going to use our ladder to climb down into a hole. So let's climb down the y-axis to the star, and we can see that that would lead us to -8. So if you came up with the coordinates, let's see, I'm going to write them down here, okay, next to the star, parenthesis, -7, comma, -8, parenthesis, you are correct. Let's try one more. Now, Let's try finding the location of this letter D here in the quadrant 4. All right, I'll give you a chance to try that on your own, and then we'll do it together. Okay, here we go. Let's start at the origin. We're looking for D, so we're going to walk along the x-axis first. In this case, the positive direction, and that would lead us to 7. And then we'll walk down the ladder into our hole all the way to D. And if we use our eyes, it'll drag along the line here. That would lead us to -8 again. So here we have an ordered pair location. Oh, let's see here. Getting all discombobulated. Let's grab me out of the way. And we're going to write the name of the ordered pair. It's parenthesis 7, -8, parenthesis. So what we're learning today is that we can find and name points in all 4 quadrants by doing exactly what we learned yesterday. Walking along the x-axis first, in this case today both right and left. That'll be our first number in our ordered pair. And then walking either up in the positive direction or down in the negative direction along the y-axis. Doing so each time will always get you your correct ordered pair and the location of the point that you're looking for. All right. Today's learning target is, I can use all 4 quadrants of the coordinate grid to find and name points. Let's get to some practice work. Let me know if you need help.